All right, so here we are. Uh, Quarantine week. I don't know what number, but Hawkeye 38 here from my living room. Um, so I wanted to do something for the channel just because I haven't done anything on the channel in a year. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. Um, but I wanted to do something to kind of share people's stories with video games and just something a little low effort. Shows are still coming. I promise. It's just a matter of having equipment and finding the time, which is hard. But so I've been on this kick lately about about like people's favorite games, and the thing I want to focus on is stuff that I've never played, stuff that I have no like very very minimal contact with, and that some people find is like the bee's knees, so they say. um, and so for today, I have my good friend Roger here with me. Roger, how you doing, buddy?
Pretty
And
good, pretty good.
we're gonna talk about Metal Gear. And
Okay.
Roger Roger here claims it's his favorite. We're gonna see how we're gonna put that to the test, sorta. So, am I correct in saying that it is your
It's one
favorite?
of my favorite game series.
Okay.
It's yeah, pretty much, pretty much.
Okay. So that kind of leads into the first question. How'd you get like introduced to it?
So to be honest, so I was probably, let me think, in middle school, probably seventh grade actually. I used to watch, what is it? Not IGN, G4 TV,
Yeah.
like on cable, and they did a review on it on one of the shows there. I can't even remember, that was so long ago now, but they were showing all these like survival things, and you have to go find your own weapons, find your own food, actually keep your character fed, and there's like a whole medical customization kit or whatever to it. And I, at the time, I really liked shows like Man versus Wild, Survivor Man, and I'm just into that whole, like, you get dropped into a place with nothing but a handgun and a knife and
Oh, so
just
PUBG.
go. And yeah, yeah. I'm not a big fan of PUBG personally, but that's just me in battle royales, I guess.
No, I hear
But
you.
of course, I'm talking about Metal Gear Solid 3, which was my intro.
I was gonna
So
say.
sorry. Yeah, no, sorry to all the like original fans that started from the first game. I was too young. I had no interest in it until I played the third one. Then I went back. You
Yeah.
know.
Well, I think that's the important thing is that you went back. If
Right.
and I think it's it's fair to say when a certain game gets hype that one kind of sticks out to people. Like some people for Pokemon, for instance, Gold and Silver is the first because Pokemon was at its like peak popularity. So then some of them people never played Red and Blue, and you got the millions of people that asked for like the Ruby and Sapphire remakes who probably didn't play Red and Blue when they came out, and they got the remix of those with Fire Red and Leaf Green. So starting in the middle is not
Right.
nothing to be ashamed of.
No, no, I don't think that makes you any less of a fan than anyone else. All the like elitist gatekeeping, like I'm
Hmm.
the one that started from the
Yeah,
beginning. I don't like that mentality.
yeah. I have that mentality sometimes, but I try to
Hmm.
like keep it in measure. Like I try to be like, I'm just happy people enjoy a series if it's a series of mine. But I just
Right.
like you said, you went back, and I think that's the important aspect. Is like if you're like, oh, I started at 3 and I only played 3 and 5, and I don't care about the rest of it. But it's still like I'm like I think if you have a knowledge a little bit, then that's important. Um,
Right. And I even played Metal Gear Rising, and that's not
okay,
really a Metal Gear Solid game.
it's not, but it's the only one that I own, and it's fun.
It's fun if you don't think of it as a Metal Gear Solid game.
Nah.
It's solid.
I pun intended. Well, and the thing is, like, I thought it was just kind of using the name. I didn't realize it had anything to do with actual like Metal Gear like stuff. Like, I was just like, oh my god, it's just called Metal Gear.
No, I don't think it really. I mean, I guess it is technically still canon, but I don't count it. It has nothing to do with Snake or
Uh-huh.
the Sons of Liberty or anything like that.
Right.
So
So real quick, I kind of want to just go. So here's my exposure to Metal Gear. By the way, I remember my dad playing Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PlayStation, and like sort of very vaguely, and then no one touched it after that. And then the big thing is like I watched like Team 4 Star play through all the Metal Gear games just because like they're not. I don't even care about the, like I said, I've never played them really, and so I don't have like a big emotional investment to watch all the series. But it's fun to have streams on like at this day and
Right.
age, especially while I work. Um, but so you kind of said that it was like MGS3 that got you in there. Was it mainly the, so if that's the thing, if that big ad on G4 was the thing that kind of like got you in, did it
Hmm.
like, I mean, how do I put this? You can get someone in with anything, but what kept you? What was it that you're like, hey, like I do want to play the other two that came before this?
All right. So of course, like I said, like the survivalist segments is what brought me in.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I didn't really care much for stealth games, which if you don't like stealth, which I do now, I like it now. But if you don't like stealth, playing Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 is a miserable time.
I
But
mean, I hear
to
three
be
is
honest, what
generally
kept
the
me in
favorite.
was the story. Yes, yes. So the thing that kept me in was just the story,
Okay.
because like Metal Gear Solid 3 being a prequel to all the other games, they had all these setups and stuff, and there were a few moments in which like I'd kill a character and I'd lose the mission, and it's like, why did I lose? And it would say like you created a time paradox, because if you, spoilers for a game that came out years ago, if you kill Ocelot while he's passed out, it ends the game and you're like, what did you do? You create a paradox. I'm like, why? He's a bad guy. I didn't know anything,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
You didn't know he had to show
But
up in the
after
other
that, like,
ones.
no, no, how would I? He looked like just another like villain of the week kind of character. So I just killed him while he was passed out, and it ended the game. But that kind of caught me, and I was like, why did that happen? And I'd look it up, and I'd be like, oh, so he's actually a main character. And I told myself, like, look, like the other games at that point, like graphically, functionally, they're a little bit dated. I mean, like a lot of polygons you could like count. Um, but I just decided, you know what, I want to get the experience, and I went back and I think I bought the games from some buyback store,
Mhm.
um, and I didn't have the greatest time, but I still appreciated the story and what it did for stealth games as a whole at its time. You know,
So, so real quick for the first one, did you play Twin Stakes or did you play like actual original MGS one?
I honestly can't even remember which one I played. I remember I bought a copy of Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, I had 3, and for right now, I mean, I've played all of them except for Ground Zeroes. Um,
What system did you play it on? Were you playing on PS2, PS3?
I had a PS2.
Okay. I want to say it was Twin Stakes, though. No, if I'm doing my thing correctly. But so overall, we're saying story over gameplay, so to speak. At least up until the third one.
Yes,
Okay. Because again, I
right.
think
Because again, I wasn't into stealth.
and I think that's an interesting thing because like me, for anyone who doesn't know this about me, but like I'm a giant JRPG fan, right? And I
Right.
actually like I'm one of the people that like I like the gameplay of JRPGs. I like menus. I'm fucking weird. Like I remember watching the Normal Boots when they were doing their Madness episode, and they were talking about like Final Fantasy VII,
Right.
and they're like, oh yeah, everyone wants to talk about the story and the graphics and all this, but no one talks about the gameplay. And it's like because it's menus, and I'm like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that because I like the gameplay with the ATV and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So but it's interesting with MGS that has a more action oriented thing, and even if it is stealth, that story was still playing the bigger role for you.
Yes.
um
Yes. Definitely.
so all right, have you played all of them, by the way?
All of them except for Ground Zeroes.
Okay. Which is was that like a
Kind of
portable
it
one?
it Ground Zeroes. Actually, no, I didn't play Peace Walker because I didn't have I think it was a release on the PSP or the Vita. I
Yeah.
didn't have any of that. I didn't play Ground Zeroes or Peace Walker. Ground Zeroes is pretty much like, I believe, like a setup for Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
Where Ground Zeroes ends is pretty much where it picks right up years later, but story wise.
Yeah. So would you say? By the way, speaking of JP, I want to point this out. By the way, like as I've been watching like the MGS like streams and stuff like that, MGS is the most anime ass fucking thing I've ever seen. By the way.
Yeah, that's another reason why. I mean, look, in MGS3, and I didn't expect this. You fight a dude who's wearing an astronaut costume that flies around, and when you kill him, he turns into a gigantic flaming like skull demon, and he just explodes into you. And it's like, I thought this was supposed to be like a realistic tactical military shooter.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like that's what I thought until I started seeing footage of like people on fire or like people doing lightning shit, and I'm like, and then like
killing bees by spinning a revolver.
Yeah. What is that?
I love it.
Like, well, and like just Asa in general is the most anime-ass character because like I watched. So speaking of MGS3, that's what I'm like currently watching them play through. Is like there's a point where he just like he's doing his thing before he actually gets his revolver. By the way, he has his like semi-automatic, and he like there's a dude on a ledge or something if I'm right, and like he like ricochets a bullet off. I'm like, yeah, same thing. I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be like some sort of like realistic tactical game, but this is some anime ass shit. Like,
and I love that. Like, one of my favorite things is the character of in that game, Naked Snake. His character is so grounded, and he's so like he's just a well-rounded combatant. He's just a soldier that's well equipped for any situation, and that's why he wins. He doesn't specialize in anything. He's just good at a bunch of things. So when this just normal human being man that you're playing as watches Ocelot like ricochet bullets off walls, you'd think like someone would be like, "Whoa, that's crazy." He just goes, you're turning your gun to the side. That is a revolver technique. And it's like, why is this normal to you? Why don't you do that? Can I do that? What the fuck?
But that's still like so like anime. Like I've watched your technique. I know how you do. You got to do this instead. Like
let me do it then. If you're gonna say things like that.
Yeah. Right. Kind of going back a bit though with the story. So would you say that you understood every like aspect of it, or I don't want to sound condescending, but I know it's like no.
No. And if you say that you understand it, you're lying. You really are. Because there's like so many like there's so much. I mean, we talked about this shortly before. Please don't ask me to explain the whole story, but all I can say about the story is it's a beautiful thing. You can write an anime about it, and I'm surprised they haven't. And there's just a bunch of plot holes and a bunch of like, but why? No, but like really why? Like you can't explain to me why. Like, oh yeah, sure, Psycho Mantis. He's just psychic. That just exists in this world, along with the flaming astronaut. Why not? Sure, that doesn't change like reality as we know it or warfare as we know it.
I mean, neither does a giant walking tank, but whatever.
Yeah, the Shago Hod capable of firing missiles. A mobile nuke.
Yeah, I mean, saying you understand Metal Gear story is kind of similar to saying you understand all of Kingdom Hearts story, because that's where I'm.
Oh, don't get me started on Kingdom Hearts because I unfortunately like it.
I like the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts, but that's not what we're here for.
No.
That's a whole other conversation we could have.
Don't open that.
So speaking of the story, is it, kind of go, not to get too in depth, but just is it the way the characters are, or is it more like the themes that they bring up that really kind of get you?
I guess it's like to get the one plot point I really do care about, right? Which is what brought me into the whole thing, was it's all centered around the character of the boss.
Yeah.
Not Big Boss, like the boss, which was Big Boss's like boss when he was a scrub pleb guy. So basically you can sum up the entirety of Metal Gear Solid's story, and someone's gonna hate me for this, with the fact that Big Boss, the character you play as in Metal Gear Solid 3, and
Wait a
Colonel.
second. I thought you said it was Naked Snake in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Hey, you know what? It's Metal Gear Solid. You can't call me on anything because nothing is real. But it's Big Boss and I believe like Colonel something. I forget his name. But like he's your boss in the segment. Like he's your actual mission boss, whereas the other woman is your trainer. Um, they interpreted the boss's final will or like her intent in deceiving America to conserve like patriotism or whatever.
Mhm.
They both took it completely opposite ways, and the entirety of the Metal Gear Solid saga is basically about these two conflicting ideas based off of the same idea. Like this whole war, everything that goes on, all that anime, um, Otacon pissing himself, all of this was because all of this was just because this woman died in the most hardcore badass way, and no one can agree on what she actually meant. And
I feel like that's just
I
life,
I
though.
I
You
like
know?
that idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I mean, well, and that I think speaks a lot to just, oh, like the theme, like a big theme of Metal Gear is like a lot of the um kind of references like to like political themes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I think that's a really interesting thing if it's like they can't interpret what a character said. And I don't want to get like too political on any of this, but it's kind of the same thing with real life. There's laws that we made years and years ago, but we're interpreting them as best we can today by today's standards, and that means different things for different people, what have you.
Exactly.
And I think that's interesting that that's a big thing in that game, and then people get disillusioned by what they meant or could mean. And so, real quick though, how do you feel about the hour-long cutscenes?
I love them.
Really?
Yeah. No, I love them. I don't. A lot of people say that the pacing is horrible because of it, but here's the thing, right? As a person who loves anime and just overall that kind of like storytelling, a lot of it is very much anime. Like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, fall off a bridge, patch yourself up, and use a balloon to get back to America. It doesn't really make sense.
Doesn't
But
have to.
I enjoy things like that because like one, usually those hour-long cutscenes are followed by or are prefaced by like a very intense scene in which like you're hiding from like 30 dudes or you're trying to kill all of them without being seen, and you're so like, as a kid at least, I'm sure I could blow through it now, but as a kid I was on the edge of my seat. I was,
Yeah.
like, hands were sweating, so I had to like do this a bunch. And and like to finish that scene and get a cutscene is like put the controller down, grab my Capri Sun, sit back, and be like, yeah, I did it.
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
now with YouTube, like, and the internet overall, like, you can turn that game into a movie,
Yeah.
and now you can just watch it,
Yeah.
which I like that.
And I think if you approach it that way, then that's fine. But I think also it requires the initial investment. Like
Yes.
well, not to harp on Kingdom Hearts too much, but like I said, I don't care about Kingdom Hearts story at all. I skip through cutscenes. I'm like, just show me where to. But I mean, then again, like Kingdom Hearts is a bit more. I think I don't want to say it's more action focused. It's a different action focus than because it's not
Mm-hmm.
stealth. Um,
Right.
but you know, I don't care about the story, so like I skip all cutscenes for that because they're also very long, and I just go
Yes.
in and I hack and slash my way through Heartless and whatever
Nobodies
Converse and
and
Nobody's, yeah,
somebodies.
and so yeah, and organization members and stuff like that. So,
We're gonna get into that at some
but I
point.
think
Let's not.
yeah, I think that's interesting though that like if you kind of frame it the way that you have it, where it's I just did something intense. I need to decompress by letting the story unfold onto me and then getting back into it. I think that's a really interesting way to kind of frame it. Um, so kind of leading into the future, um, how do you feel about the state of Metal Gear after Metal Gear Survive and Kojima's
Uh,
departure, or I should say, like
I think
forced
it's done.
exit. Yeah,
I think it's done. I mean, it's unfortunate to say because again, I do love the series, but at the end said, let's not get political, but Konami basically just kneecapped Kojima, told him to push out a unfinished game
hmm
that he wasn't able to put everything he wanted in there, and it's just it's sad to see that.
yeah,
I think it's possible because another game series I absolutely love, Devil May Cry.
yeah. That's a good
Um,
one.
everyone when the reboot came out, DMC with Dante,
I
everyone
like
like and
DMC, by the
most
way.
people look. I like the gameplay of it because it's very smooth.
It's
I love
fun.
the gameplay. If I don't think of it as Devil May Cry, I love it. But like as a Devil May Cry fan, that was it was so heartbreaking to be at this party started. Like, bring that back.
Yeah.
But then, even though no one thought it would happen, I'm sorry, even though no one thought it would happen, DMC5 came out.
hmm
And that kind of gives me hope for the Metal Gear series. It's like, all right, so maybe not necessarily, like right now, like Metal Gear Survive perversed what Metal Gear Solid is.
hmm
In my opinion, it just wasn't that great. Not
Right.
only was it just a complete rip of the game, um, it just didn't even play well.
I don't think anyone's
Uh,
gonna argue with you on that, but
yeah. So in that same vein of like, a lot of fans are very upset. They don't like it. Well, don't give up hope because DMC5 still happened. And in a way, I think they really shouldn't like drop another full game out there because how do you're gonna mess it up again? Because Metal
so
Gear Solid, in my opinion, Metal Gear Solid 3, like if you've played 1 and 2, then you played 3, it kind of wraps a lot of things up.
mhm.
And then they dropped Metal Gear Solid 4, and then people were like, "What? Oh, okay. This kind of derails the story again." And then it brings it back, and it's good. Like, okay, we're good, we're fine. We have our final like resting place for Metal Gear Solid as a story. And then they drop Metal Gear Solid. What do you want to do?
Yeah,
I don't want it to kind of mess itself up, too
yeah.
much.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say is like, would you be okay? Like more. Or I should ask it this way: do we actually need a Metal Gear 6? Is the thing.
I think we need a spiritual successor that doesn't touch on like the Metal Gear story. I want it to carry the same spirit.
Mhm,
I want more content of that game,
mhm.
but I don't think we should go back into the world of Shagohods and Metal Gears and Raiden.
Just
like
let it rest.
Yeah, I think just let it rest. Unless you want to continue with like the Metal Gear Rising route, which again, like I don't consider it a Metal Gear game, but it did leave off on kind of a uh cliffhanger. And if you want to continue that, cool, because it doesn't really touch the story of
hmm
Snake and the twins or the clones, and
Yeah,
it doesn't get into that complicated mess,
that's fair. Because that's how like I am. It's I always people. It's a delicate balance because people never really ever want to let something just end because they love it, but at the same time, like then they get mad when it starts going south. Like I love the Mega Man Battle Network games, and as much as I like, part of me would be like, yeah, like I want a new one. I felt like they were running out of ideas by the sixth one. I felt like very much that I'm
Exactly.
like I would say that the fifth one's my favorite, and sixth one I'm just kind of like I'm happy there's another one, but I don't think I really need. And it's a weird balance because like I'm like if they release a new one, I'd buy it, I'd play it, and I'd probably love it, but at the same time I'm like I don't think we need a new one. And
Right.
it's the same thing with actually like even still going on like the Mega Man X series, people begging for an X9 or whatever, and I'm like it'd be cool, but they've already messed up the Mega Man story a bunch of times. And yes, by the way, for people who don't know, the Mega Man story is actually pretty sufficient. I know more about it than I care to admit. Um, but like, it's one of those things that yeah, like if I feel like you're gonna have to like backtrack on yourself when you release another one if you change up something that you didn't realize that you were going to go this long and have to retcon something else. Like the whole retcon in 5 for like for the original Metal Gear game is that like what like spoiler word I guess, but like that the person you kill at the original Metal Gear game is
Was
an
not
actual big
Kingdom
boss.
Hearts.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah, actually that's the thing. Did you play the original Metal Gear or did you just play the Solid games?
I think I played the Solid games, and I just watched like if you're talking about that like isometric kind of 2D, not 2D, but like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
older, more pixel game.
yeah.
Um, yeah, no, I think I just watched a playthrough of that because at that point, and I hate this. I hate to because I love video games. I've been playing since before I could even walk and talk, and
Right.
that's true. That's true. Um, I have never been financially good, like either my family or like me myself right now. Like, yeah, I have money, but like I can't go out and buy all the systems I want. So as
Yeah.
much as I want to have that full like battle station with like all the
Yeah.
consoles and even going back retro, I
Oh, you
don't
mean like
think
the
I
shelf I
could.
have? Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's really cool. But like I can't justify it.
Yeah. And that's
Unfortunately.
fair.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always emulation and stuff like that, but
Yeah. So
and
call
and
me a
I
fake fan. It's okay.
and 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 that's the thing. It's like sometimes like not every game is serious too, because like it plays different, and like if you're getting this, if you just really care about the story, then I think it's okay to kind of skip one or there. Like there's
You know
um
one game that does this really bad is Kingdom Hearts.
okay, say that, but here's the thing. I actually like the side games better. Like I like Dream
Are you
Drop.
telling me that you like Union Cross for the mobile app?
Okay, maybe not those ones, but like I like Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop. A, because I don't give a shit about Sora, but
Right.
B,
No
because
one
I don't
does.
like having to deal with MP. Oh no, there's some people who are. There's some people who are like diehard. Like it's like Sora, Donald, Goofy. Like that's their fucking. That's who they want to see.
Nah.
And
You know
I'm
what? I root for Donald more than I do Sora.
like when I play Dream Drop, I'm like, can I just play as Riku for a little longer, please, before it makes me drop? Like,
The thing, okay, I know it's not the topic we're talking about, but I just want to hit this point. In Kingdom Hearts 3,
mhm.
there's the scenes where you go and you get to play as other characters, which is
And
dope. I
yeah,
really like that.
yeah.
That's something that very much like lifts the gameplay up. The thing I don't like about it is I actually didn't like playing as the other characters in that
Really?
game.
I
Yeah,
liked
no.
it.
Well, here's my thing, right? When you're playing as Sora, you unlock all the individual move sets and you
Yeah,
know them and you have your items laid out. When
yeah,
you get dropped in as Riku or you get dropped in as another character,
yeah.
it's
You
like,
can't change it.
here,
Yeah,
he has one health potion, one mana potion. Good luck. You don't even
yeah,
know the moves. And it's like,
yeah. And I think that's. I mean, like I said, we don't want to harp on this for too long, but I think that's kind of talking a bit more to just like KH3's like design in general. Like I have a whole bunch of notes of how like that game could have been planned out better to be this like penultimate thing, even though I know it's not supposed to be the last one, but like you have all these characters that are that are keyblade wielders now. It's like there should have been more focus, but like I said, we can go into that in a whole other video.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, totally.
so kind of just also still kind of keep on the future theme here. Um, Tangential as it may be, Death Stranding. You a fan?
Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. I don't own it.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never played it a day in my life. But I do have to say, I like it. I like the way it's going. It's very much Metal Gear Solid 5 and PT
Okay.
and a few other things thrown together. But it's something new. I mean, you get to play as Norman Reedus as a delivery boy, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the story kind of goes everywhere, which is very Metal Gear, and I like that
Yeah.
about it. So I don't get me wrong, I've never played it. Have I watched all the cutscenes multiple times and multiple playthroughs of this game? Yes, yes, I have. Um, I like the direction they're going, and it very much goes with what I said earlier that I think we need a spiritual successor. My only downside to it is, and I guess that's that part of me that's like, I want more Metal Gear, is like, it's just not Metal Gear enough for me.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate it as more of a art piece than an actual game. But then again, that's someone who's never touched it or played it. So I guess that's an unfair, review
Yeah.
from me.
I was gonna say um so yeah, so not quite. It's not quite spiritual successor, just because it's lacking some of those certain elements, like without.
Yeah, I mean, I just want more weird anime shit, which I know that game's filled with it,
Mhm.
like literally packed to the brim with it. But I feel like there was something special about the Metal Gear universe because it was such a normal. It's such a normal life. It's such a normal world that they built,
Mhm.
and then they just put in like anime protagonists and anime antagonists in, and it's like, okay, that's really cool to me.
Okay.
Where in Death Stranding, there's people with dooms. Like this is a known thing that some people have, and that kind of just takes away from the uh, kind of protagonist. Like I can do this. I'm the only one. I am
Okay.
Sora. I have a Keyblade. I'm Snake. I can hide well.
Okay.
Like it took a little bit away from me
It
that
just hits different.
everyone has different levels of dooms, and it's like, oh, you're a repatriate, so is that other guy.
Yeah.
Eh, I don't know.
It's like Digimon versus Pokemon type thing. Like you want the Digimon.
We're gonna nitpick.
Oh yeah, that's what we do here on the internet. So I think that kind of that's all I really got. I mean, okay, actually, well, last thing, you think Konami would ever actually let go of the license and give it to Kojima, like for Metal Gear? I know you said like maybe like because of the DMC5, but they like to hold on to their.
Do you know the story of Kojima being kicked off Konami?
Oh, I don't want to know if I know all the details, but I know parts of it.
So the general story that I've followed or that I know, and I'm gonna give the shortest synopsis of this because I can talk on about this for like 2 hours.
Mm,
Um, there was a guy in Konami that Kojima used to belittle
hmm.
because Kojima, fucking top dog. It's fucking Kojima, right?
Yeah.
And this other guy was making phone games, like mobile pachinko games and shit. And Kojima was like, "That's not a real game. That's not, like that is a disgrace to the art form of video games."
Hmm.
Well, that guy made Konami a lot of fucking money,
I believe it.
and Konami was like, "Hey, you're dope. Here you go. You're gonna supersede Kojima now."
Oh shit. I
And
think I did know about this a little bit.
yeah, so based on that, as long as the guy that hates Kojima is considered high up enough in Konami, I
Hmm.
don't think Kojima will ever get the rights to Metal Gear Solid back. And to an extent, like if you watch a few breakdowns, which to me made sense, like if you look at PT and the
Hmm.
story of how PT came to be, as well as like Kojima's Twitter feed, um, you can kind of tell that PT and Ground Zeroes was him basically telling us that he was getting shafted
Hmm.
really hard. Like there was this whole thing where like the baby is technically supposed to represent the Fox engine that he made, and how they
Ah.
were going to perverse it, and they did. They turned it into an engine that they would use to make like soccer games. Which
Okay.
he was like, this is dumb. This is not. I made this. This is my baby. It's like high tech shit, and you're going to use it to sell a game with microtransactions and this, that, and the other.
Hmm.
And it's just unfortunate to see that that's how everything played out.
Yeah. It's real sad to hear because it's like you don't want to see someone's like anyone's like work being done like have that done to and not being
Right.
used for its intended thing. And I think overall, like just like talking about this, like hearing you talk about it, like we're not involved in any of this at all.
No,
No, but
no.
but the point is though, and the kind of the point of like this series, I'm really hoping to get more people to do these with, um, is that we care,
Yeah.
and it uh you get invested, and like to me it's fascinating to hear like you talk about those parts because it's like I don't know anything about that, but it means something to you because it also affects something that you love. And but it's something like I said, like I've had no like almost no interaction with, um and I don't know, I think it's a really cool thing. Just
No, I like the series for
thanks,
sure.
man. Yeah, I'm really hoping to get a couple other guests on here for it. Lastly, would you actually recommend? I know you said it. If you were not a stealth fan, it's a bit of a kind of asterisk to it. But would you actually recommend the Metal Gear series?
So, okay, I'm not so knowledgeable with the state of things right now, but I'd say the same thing. I hate to go back to it as Kingdom Hearts,
Hmm.
um, where basically if they didn't come out with the whole package with all the games put together and drop it on the one system,
Hmm.
like I wouldn't say go into Kingdom Hearts because then you'd have to buy like 6 different platforms.
Yeah.
So if I don't know if they have it, but if they do have like, Metal Gear Solid 3 remastered, collector's edition with all 1, 2, and all that stuff, like I think if it's available to you and it's
Hmm.
easy to check out, if you like anime, if you like just really stupid outlandish stuff, I'd say maybe even take the path that I took. I mean, play Metal Gear Solid 3 and go back,
Hmm.
or introduce yourself to the world. If you like hack and slash games, start with Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah.
The games have such a diverse different things you can do. There's hack and slash. There is purely stealth. There is survival. Now there's open world. Like you can have all these entry points, and from there you can start going back into the other stuff. And if you want to brave all those pixels, if you want to brave the old systems and how clunky you like tank controls,
Ugh.
go back. Go
Yeah.
back and play Metal Gear Solid 1. You'll have an okay time.
Like, yeah, because like my thing with it is like as kind of, I guess, like fascinated as I am by parts of the story, um like I really don't like the perspective, except for I think with exception of like 5, because it plays a little different. But like that
That's
top
good.
down that they have, and just like the way that, because like the other thing too is like controls. I can tell like controls are weird for some of the older ones. And
Yes,
then, like, it's just like I'm like,
definitely.
I just don't know if like I also just really don't like the perspective of it. But at the same time, like I think it's lasted this long, so it's got to be, there's got to be something for someone in there. And I think if you're the type of person that hasn't checked it out, um, I think it's at least worthwhile to at least look into it, because it's I don't know. I think it's one of those games it's one of those series that everyone says that, aside from, I'd say, like Shadow of the Colossus and a couple other big key ones, that, like, when people have to, even though I don't know why we still have to have this argument, but when people have to make the argument why whether or not video games are art, it's one of the first ones that people come up with. It's like, no,
Right,
watch this movie that is Metal Gear Solid 4.
right, most definitely. And my main thing is like again, if you don't like I feel like these days where we have YouTube, we have Twitch, we have so many streaming services. Um, if you only like one game, go for it. If you don't like any of the games, but you like the story, you can still watch the stories.
Hmm.
Like I personally, I can't play The Witcher because to me it feels really floaty. I
It
know people
does.
love it. I just can't play it, but I
Yeah.
like the story enough that I went back and I'd watch like the cutscenes, the story beats, because I want to delve myself into this world. But now we have a platform to go in without having to go all the way in. We could dip our
Yeah.
toes in that water, and I think that's an amazing thing.
And not have to spend the $60 for a game, because sometimes, times are
Yes,
tough. Times are
but here's the
tough.
thing, right? You can get into the argument that like that kind of mentality is what's ruining the game industry, but I can't even tell you how many video games I've bought because I've already watched a full playthrough of it.
Oh yeah, there's so many that I'm like, like that looks fun. Like
Right.
I wanna try that out. And even if you get it on sale, at least you're still getting it. I bought freaking Transformers Devastation. I'm like, I watched TFS play, and I'm like, that game looks fun as hell. I love Transformers, and then I got it. So
All I'm saying
um,
is Titanfall 2. If I didn't watch someone do a playthrough of it, I never would have played it, and it is my hands down favorite first person shooter.
that's
Don't at
fair.
me.
That's fair. I mean, I'm a fucking Destiny fanboy, so I mean, who am I to fucking
that
judge people,
I like it too. I like
right?
it too. I just like my grappling hook. I'm sorry. I like my grappling hook flying 60 miles an hour and no scoping people. It's a good feeling.
I do want to get back in Titanfall too, except the last few times I was playing, it gave me like a headache. I don't know why, but it was just like,
The
so
emotion
one of these,
sick or?
I think something like the pacing of the game. I think it's just the I can't remember who makes it. It's the same people that make freaking
Respawn Entertainment.
thank you. It's Respawn. Yeah. Um, yeah, like almost all their games do it to me because I get like same thing. Like after I play Apex Legends for a little bit too, I get a little. It's something with the way that their
It
camera works or something.
wobbles. The camera, it like wobbles because I don't know. Because I
It's
guess it's supposed
something.
to immerse you in the parkour experience,
Yeah,
but it's like
it's something with the speed of it that kind of gets like motion blurs and it gets me dizzy. I don't know.
there's settings for that.
Yeah, I think I tried turning them down a lot too. Like I'm one of those people that I have to turn the sensitivity on like the stick down because if I do it too fast, I'm a baby. Whatever.
Oh, I was a Call of Duty 4 tryhard. I was the head of a no scope a no
Oh,
scope clan.
oh
So that's
no.
that's me. I have my sensitivity jacked all the way up, so I move my thumb a little bit, pop heads.
I think there's no better place to end this than that.
Yeah, yeah. Bringing up the fact that I played Call of Duty
Yeah.
stains my gaming career really.
We started with the MGS, got somewhere the K in the Kingdom Hearts, and then ended on Call of Duty.
Oh,
Oh
that's
man.
bad.
Uh, but
Don't
hey,
judge me, please.
I really appreciate you coming on for this.
No problem.
And for anyone who watches this, I if you have a favorite series and want to talk about it, let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe. Like I said, it's especially if it's something that I have not touched. Like, I would just briefly, we touched on talked about The Witcher. Like, if someone like same thing. I tried it. It wasn't for me, but I know people that love that game, and I would love to talk to people about it. Um, Hopefully, if I can convince some people, I think working on someone talking about Uncharted next, but I don't want to make promises. Um,
I've been playing Uncharted 4 like crazy lately.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, real quick, I don't know why I shouldn't make plugs for a giant company, but I will. Like Sony released the freaking. They put all the if you're a PS Plus member, you get 4 for this month anyway. But also, actually, well, until
All
it
of
turns
them.
to May, yeah, you can get all of them because they had the stay at home package thing or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, if you're like I got them because they were free. I may play them. I don't know, but I do want to. Hopefully next guest might be the one talking about it, and then after that, like I said, no promises, but I also have a friend that said Baldur's Gate is his favorite, and I think that's a really interesting one too. So,
Can I
um,
add one thing about Uncharted real quick?
yeah, what's up?
So you play as Nathan Drake,
Hmm.
who believes it. I don't think it's ever clarified, but he believes he is a descendant of Sir Francis Drake, the like famous explorer.
Ah,
Fun fact about myself: um, my grandpa is actually a descendant of Sir Francis Drake.
what?
I think it's pretty sick.
No, that's dope.
Unfortunately, he wasn't my biological grandpa, so I am
Oh,
not a descendant of Sir Francis Drake.
oh, well, that just
Yeah,
took a turn.
he very much like took care of our family and took care of my dad when
I
his dad
gotcha.
passed. So yeah, he's family, but not
Yeah,
family.
I gotcha. Well, yeah, thanks again, man. Really, really appreciate this.
No problem.